Hey, what?
Yeah, yeah. You're the new guy since you wasn't here
Yeah,
last week. You
yeah.
evaded us.
So, my name is Justin. I was raised a Prince Hall Mason in the same lodge as Trey. Actually, Trey is my cable. We
Yes,
came
sir.
together a couple of years ago. He's wearing his ninth hour shirt,
Oh,
representing us. And Raul, an integral part in growth as a Mason. And a lot of what I know, and a lot of the research that I do is as a result of his mentorship. So, Raul, shout out to you. Appreciate you. Um, I actually moved. Our lodge was in Southern California. I've recently moved. So I've relocated to the Minnesota area. My wife took a job here, and our family picked up and moved in the last 30 days. I have demitted from our Prince Hall Lodge. For those of you who are Masons and non-Masons don't know, and the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of California can't hold dual membership. So I demitted, and I'm in the process of affiliating with a lodge out here in Minnesota. I am also a employee for the Grand Lodge of California. So I do anything and everything membership with them, mostly talking to interested prospects, connecting them with lodges, pre-screening them. But, just like any other nonprofit out there, you find yourself wearing many different hats, myself included. So our annual communications at the end of next month, very busy getting prepared for that. I think that's going the last week of October. Great experience. If you haven't been, you should definitely check it out. I think you can still register. It's due season. So I'm currently been working on my eyes are bleeding after 14 hours of looking at a spreadsheet, making sure that the dues invoicing for all the 38,000 members in the Grand Lodge of California is correct. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very interested to have deep conversations with the people we bring on the podcast. Me, Trey, and Raul have had a lot of offline, I call them parking lot conversations, just about masonry. I think that's where the secret sauce is at, right? You go to lodge and you hear what happens in a lodge meeting. It can be dry, and everybody knows that. But I think the real secret sauce is in those hidden conversations. So I'm interested in exploring that here. And thanks for having me.
All right, man, you're a co-host, brother.
Okay.
Yeah, you're the man. You're the man. So I'm a punt it to Trey, let him introduce himself. I know we didn't really do that on the pilot episode, so I'll punt it to Trey. I'll introduce myself, and then we have done this on Friday the 13th, which is special to me and special to Nice Temper. So Trey, go ahead. I'll get to you in a second.
Hey, what's going on, world? Appreciate the opportunity to be here yet again. It's truly a blessing. I am Trey. I reside out of Surfside Lodge out here in San Diego under the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of California, Incorporated. And yeah, just here to have a good time and really good conversations on a lot of different topics. I think that we're going to get into in a little bit right here why we came up with this or why we're doing what we're doing. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. I will tell you up front is that, this is a forum for us to just have conversations, real conversations, be unapologetic and just, explore the things that have interest us and expound upon particular topics that we like. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Sir. Yes, sir. So, hey, greetings, YouTube and the world. Raul, just like Trey and Justin said, we started this because we wanted a platform where Masons can have unapologetic conversations about Masonry. We want them to be unafraid to speak on Masonry and to empower them to talk about it. So again, that's me in a nutshell. Currently, I serve for the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge as the Right Worshipful Grand Lecturer. I was just elected in July, so that's truly a blessing. So I got a lot of work to do there. Have a lot of other hats, but no need to talk about them here. Want to kind of get right into the day we're doing it on. Although it's not October, it is Friday the 13th. Now, society has deemed Friday the 13th as bad or a jinx or a hex, when in actuality, this whole concept of Friday the 13th really comes from the Code of Hammurabi. Now, if you in high school, you read Hammurabi's rule, and even afterwards, an eye for an eye, that's where the whole ideology came from. Now, the Knights Templars themselves, they were captured on 13 October 1307. So this magnanimous order was founded as a monistic military order in 1118. Now, prior to that, it was only 9 Sir Knights. Think about that, 9. And they were the poor knights of Christ, or the poor knights of Christ. So again, this goes back to the 14th century. Again, the 13 October 1307. A month before that, so we're talking about September, Philip the Fair and Pope Clement ordered all the Knights Templars to be captured. Why? Because they had got so popular. So technically, the Knights Templars created the first banking system. They had money on either side. Pilgrims can travel without the worries about being robbed. All right. So Philip the Fair and Pope Clement got jealous. Essentially, said that the Knights Templars should be captured and burned at the stake, and they were charged with heresy, worshiping false idols, amongst other things. So again, and then our most famous Grandmaster, Jacques de Morlaix, obviously suffered his doom that day. So again, that's that. We're not going to get too deep into that today. I'm going to turn it over to Justin here, but before I do that, we're going to play a little song, right? This guy we know on here, this Brother Franklin, and then Justin will give you his bio, and we'll get into some questions for the real reason we're here. So give me 1 second. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear it. Rushing down the highway, I'm on my way, won't be late. It's been on my mind all day, I can't wait. You down. Go ahead, Jay. You got it, man. Give him his due.
Brother Orlando Franklin, instead of reading your bio, I would just like for you to get us started. Tell me a little bit about, where you grew up, kind of your humble upbringings, and kind of paint the picture of, who you are now, and just kind of lead us briefly, where you've been and how you've gotten to where you are now.
Yes, sir. No problem. So I'm Brother Franklin, Orlando, first name. Originally born and raised in San Diego, California, 86, if you know, you know. So originally born in San Diego, California. My folks, my mom's side is from California. My dad's side is actually from deep South Alabama, Birmingham specifically. When I tell people that all the time, but like, yeah, my pops is from Alabama. Like, yo, what? You ain't from Cali. They don't believe I'm from California. I'm like, yeah, I'm born and raised here. But anyway, so yeah, my folks is from the South and the West Coast. So I kind of got I got mellowed out in a sense. But I pretty much lived here my whole life, with the exception of Denver, Colorado, Bakersfield, California, Palmdale, California. Yeah, and that's it. And pretty much just grew up around here, went to school, did a lot of skateboarding, came into music by the time I was 4. So that's kind of how the whole singing thing kind of came into play.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of just jump right into it. I'm very interested to hear about, how you heard about Freemasonry, and what did that kind of journey of getting that seed planted into becoming the Mason you are, like, how did that happen? I'm very interested to hear your story as far as that's concerned as well.
Yeah, no problem. So it really happened on a whim, man. I didn't look for it. I wasn't seeking it out, nothing, right? But I didn't know I had a couple of lineages or a couple of people in my family, one primarily in my immediate family that was a brother. My actual blood brother, he's on the square too. So
okay.
Anyway, how it all started, my cousin, which is on the square, he was raised out of a lodge in North Carolina. So Prince Hall affiliated. And we were, I forget where we were at. We were somewhere. Actually, we were at a hospital. I think this was during the time that my uncle was getting ready to, transition. And so as a family, we were all at the hospital. And I don't even know how because we would like kind of hint back and forth every time I would see him, because I would see him every year for the family reunions, right?
Yeah.
So we would kind of like hint back and forth, I would kind of just ask a couple questions, then I would back off. Mm-hmm. I would ask a couple questions, then I would back off, because that's how it started. And then when we're at the hospital, fast forward to at the hospital, he was like, man, to be honest, if you really want to do it, I think you should. I think you would actually be a good Mason. And I'm like, I don't really know what to do with that info. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that info, bro. So he was like, if you really want to do it, just let me know. I can make some calls and I'll have somebody get in contact with you. I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I didn't expect nothing to happen. And
sure.
then I'm at work. as an admissions counselor at the time for, I won't mention the school.
Yeah.
But I was an enrollment advisor, right? So I get a phone call while I'm on the job, and it's our actually Right Worshipful Senior Grand Deacon, Daryl Sen. He's the one that gave me a call.
Everybody's connected to him somehow.
Somehow, man. So anyway, I get the call from this dude, and he's like, "Yo, this is such and such and such from I live out in 10 down to San Diego, or you're interested in masonry. If your schedule is free, I can let you know when the lodge is open next, and you can come down and kind of just get a feel for, for everything that's going on, right?" So I was like, "Okay, cool." I went. And my first reaction when I got down there, I was like, why are these dudes sitting outside wearing what they wearing? Why am I dressed like this? I don't know what's going on. This is weird. And then out comes Daryl, right? Out comes the brother that got me in. I meet him and everything. And, I just end up chilling out there for the whole night, man. And pretty much the rest is history. But there's a lot more that goes into it, though. I can get into it.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I'm interested to kind of your first impressions then, and then kind of what you know now. How do you see masonry being tied into your life? Like, how do you see masonry being tied into your music? Is it tied into your music? Like, how has it? Because I think that's a lot of guys be like, well, what, this generation is very much like, well, what do I get out of it, right? What do I get out of membership? But I think that looks very different for individual Mason. What does that look like to you?
Yeah, that's actually really heavy that you brought that up, man. And I tell people all the time, and I've been on this for almost 9 years. So, instead of looking to get something out of it, how about you making it better, right? So at first, I never knew it was a part of the liberal arts and sciences. We just happened to have music right there. So, okay, that's number one, right?
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, when we talk about applying the tools that we're given, right? The key word is application, because you can get tools and throw them in the box and just keep them there.
100%.
But it's different because you get more use out of the tool when you apply the tool. How that ties into me now is finishing what you start, but it came with a lot of humility at first. And I think that's probably one of the most important lessons I learned, even as an EA, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Attentive ear and a silent tongue, right? You listen more than you talk because you don't know anything. So, I think how it helps me now is the fact that I know how to apply the tools that I've been given. And it just helps me stay on course. You know what I'm saying? It keeps me in due bounds, right? And I think that's the biggest part. It's just making sure that the tools are applied, to help.
Sure.
Even with music, right? I would never this is literally the first single that I've ever released.
Why do you think, what kind of stemmed that to happen? It's not like you gained any ability, right? But it's you have always had this God-given ability, but like what pushed you towards actually taking action?
So I'm gonna relate that to the common gavel, right? I had a superfluous corner that I had to chip off.
Yeah.
Which was, and it wasn't of like the fear of doing music. It was a fear of other people thinking about what I'm doing with my artistry. So I was too concerned off of what I thought people would think about my records.
Right.
And then I just chipped that off, and I was just like, well, I can't be a creator if I'm not creating anything. And so me being afraid and not applying tools that were given
right
would cripple my creativity. And I just wasn't about to have that anymore because it happened for too many years.
Yeah.
I got a question then since
Yeah.
you brought that up.
Yeah.
So again, as you said that, then I'm sensing that as a Prince Hall Mason, you feel a sense of responsibility to represent the brotherhood as a whole. And just being in that public eye, having released this single, do you feel now this sense of responsibility being the Prince Hall Mason?
100%, man, because I think that as Prince Hall Masons, we hold ourselves to a higher standard than most.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, well, I believe that every Mason should do that, right? To hold ourselves to a standard. But it just, It's just one of those things where you want to be the example that you want to see. You know, I think Gandhi said it: if you whatever change you want to see in the world, you want to be that change. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing is one for me, right? For myself, because I want to prove myself right. And also I know the principles and the tools that I've gained throughout masonry, throughout my Masonic journey to help me get to where I am today. You know, there were some hiatuses taken, if I'm transparent, but you know, that doesn't mean anything, right? Because it's still going to be ingrained in you.
Yeah.
As long as you use the tools that you're given.
You and I talked all throughout your hiatus, and and we stay connected. So, Trey, you have anything?
Yeah, I as I'm sitting here listening, man, and it's refreshing to hear you know, the courage now to fully express yourself and to be you unapologetically, as we like to say here on the Trestle Board Talk. And it's really admired, something to admire. So I admire that in you. And one thing I'll say, man, is that I got to work with you real close when we did a project together, some education piece, man. And from that, I learned a lot about you as an individual and how you approach things. And you're very, very meticulous about how things are presented and how things are done. How would you say that has correlated with your music or with this single and this album that you're about to put out?
My man said album, snuck that album in there. I got it.
I did.
He's speaking into existence.
I'm claiming it.
My brothers and companions. I'll take that, receive that, and I'll work on it. You know what I'm saying? No, but I think I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question one more time? I got sidetracked.
That's all good.
Yeah, dog. My bad.
No, we're good.
Album threw me off, big homie.
Hey, we're good. We're good, fam. We're good. So, you know, like I said, I knew from working with you that you were very meticulous about how you do things, right? And how you present a result, a project, right? So, album aside, like, how was that approach? Do you think that in any way you were your own kind of worst critic as you were trying to get this thing out because you wanted it to be a certain way, you wanted the timing to be right? That's what I mean.
100%, man. I've always been the worst critic of mine. It had nothing to do with nobody else.
Yeah.
And I think it all really just stems from fear because you want everything to be perfect, man.
Right.
You know, you want everything to be perfect. But what I've come to find is if everything was perfect, then it wouldn't be nothing to look forward to. There would be no growth, no evolving, like nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's just perfect. So there's nothing really to look forward to.
So a follow-up question.
Yeah.
But a follow-up question to that then is, was there a moment in time where, or an event that happened or something that happened that made you say, you know what? Hey, I'm just doing it. I'm doing it. Like, what was that thing for you?
It was that moment, man, when it stemmed to a lot of different things, you know, and we can dive into that in a little bit. But it definitely did. It was just one of those days I just woke up and I was just like, man, I really don't care about what people have to say about it anymore. I don't care about the opinions, the judgments, you know what I'm saying, of different people. You know what I mean? So like, I just had to shake that off because it was just going to kill everything off. So once I decided, I made a decision to pursue what I always wanted to pursue. And that's what I'm doing now.
That's what's up.
You know, how does it feel?
Oh, it feels
how
great,
does it feel
man.
Now that it's done, yeah.
It feels great, man. It feels more liberating than ever, you know, and just I can finally like allow my creativity to expand, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here trying to make no crazy music. I'm trying to make some good music. I want people, because I'm a firm believer that music has abilities to make people feel certain. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want people to feel good when they hear my records. I don't want them to feel jacked up. You know what I'm saying? Prime example of this. When you go work out, you're not going to turn on 90s R&B. Let's keep it real. You're going to turn on a record that gets you hype. You're going to turn on some Bone Crusher.
I'm going to disagree.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Let me preface that with saying,
you're 50 plus? Yeah.
Right. But so, I mean, it depends on the individual, right? Me personally, I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? But like, what I'm saying is, I think music has a way of making people feel a certain type of way, and music has an impression to leave on people. The question is what type of impression I want to leave. I want to leave a great one. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's just one of those moments. One day I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and go for it, man. If I win, cool. If I lose, cool. But I don't want to win. I can't win or lose if I don't do anything. You see what I'm saying?
So I guess you want to leave your mark.
My man. You know what I'm saying?
Should I just assume that you want to leave your mark? It means that it's good work, true work, square work. Should I assume that?
It's definitely a safe assumption for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I'm a firm believer in marks for always meant to be noticed, but never meant to be seen.
Yeah.
Sound familiar.
Anyway, yeah,
should write that down.
My man. But yeah, man, you know, just really stepping out of the comfort zone and getting rid of that fear thing. And just going for it, man.
So I got a question. What was the process like, right? Because my brother, in fact, is a producer himself. It's all gospel music is what he does. He's a minister of music at his church as well. And I know through one, and I'll tell you the story too, is that I grew up in the church. I'm still in the church, but I was a musician in church. I played the drums, and I also played the saxophone as well. Learned how to read music. Can't read music to this day right now. Don't ask me to read music. I know that the production process is a arduous process, right? And coming up with the original, you know, I guess music, not the lyrics, but then adding the lyrics, right? What was that process like for you out here? And particularly ask really because there might be some other brothers out there who are looking to do something similar. So can you walk us through what that was like?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm not a producer. I'm more the lyricist side. So what I do is I go on this website. I'm on a website called BeatStars, and I would just listen to different beats because I don't like purchasing a whole bunch of beats. Something has to scratch me.
Yeah.
So because I know if it scratches me, I could come up with the song right there.
Right.
That's just how it happens with me. You know what I'm saying? It's different for everybody. That's an artist. So I'll just scroll through beats, and whenever I hear a beat that I like, I'll put it on loop. And if I'm still feeling the same way, I'll purchase it. And then what I'll do is I'll set up a studio session to go up there and record the record, man.
So then the other question, because all right, so the lyrics portion of it, right? Because I think there's a direct tie-in because lyrics are very powerful, right? In the sense of music in general, but more so the lyrics as you listen to the song is telling a story. So can you tell us about a little bit about the story that you're telling in this particular single that we were listening to?
Yes, sir. So the song's entitled "Lay You Down." People think about records like that, they think, oh, okay, you know, they doing some sex music or whatever, right? Me specifically, I'm actually talking about my wife, right?
That's powerful.
It can go into other men feeling about their wives, right? So when I was writing the record, man, I was just trying to think on how much I missed out on because I didn't take time to, you know, to do the little things. You know what I'm saying? You know, we've married 10 years now, and it's taken me 10 years.
Matter of fact, happy anniversary, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Happy
anniversary. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. So yeah, so it took me 10 years to actually start to learn how to really appreciate my wife for what she does, for how she is, you know, and being willing to grow as a man and a Mason to realize that I still have flaws that I need to be corrected.
Yeah.
You know, but one of the flaws that I had in my marriage was not really enjoying those moments, like, you know, taking trips, going to dinner, you know, small stuff like that, you know, it's the little stuff. So when I was writing the record, it was more about me missing her. And it was me in the place that I am now, even though I wasn't in this place back then when I wrote it. Like, cause even in the, you know, the lyrics, you know, it says, you know, first of all, let me say I'm so lucky, you know, been in love for a long time, lucky me, you know, and I'm telling her like, yo, you know, I still get turned on when you kiss me. You know what I'm saying? You know, and then in the second verse, that's not all the first verse, but the second verse, there's a part in there where I said, I still remember what I said and all the vows that I read. I was about to walk out, but instead, you know, I chose to stick by you, be here right beside you, you know, because that's what we almost went our separate ways a year ago.
Yeah, that's
You
deep.
know, and
Yeah.
so
Man,
all
thanks
of
for
those
sharing
things
that.
conglomerated all the way up until now is how that song got constructed. All I did was went in there and put it together.
Yeah. I'd like to say this, man. I can relate to that personally as well. I think that and I'll take the time to, I guess, do the plug here now for this is man, we have to take time, right, to show our loved ones, to show our family, to show our kids that we love them, and there's nothing more important than giving them that time, right? It's so easy for us to get caught up in the hustle and bustle, and it wasn't until later in my marriage too as well. I've been married for 14 years now. And it wasn't until like more so recently that I looked up and I'm like, man, like I'm letting life pass me by. No time, just I'm letting life live me. I'm not living life, right? And to be able to recognize that, I think is something that, man, is phenomenal. And then be able to share that in the manner in which you were able to share that, and you are able to share that, man, I think that's phenomenal. And you're absolutely right. I think with the lyrics could be misconstrued, which is I'm glad now when I listen to it, I'm gonna listen to it with a different set of ears, right?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
man,
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, man.
Nah,
So go ahead, son. Go ahead.
No. I'm just listening, and I agree with everybody, right? And I think and I just want to kind of get your take on it, you and Justin, actually, just because he's so busy as well. How do you, how can I say this? Do you feel like as Masons we abuse our time? Because again, it's a volunteer organization, but in essence, like my wife always says, we give more than we get in the fraternity. So as a brother, I just want to get you and Justin's take in that order on how you guys feel about that. Do we give more than we get in Masonry? And we talk about that 24-inch gauge, and Masonry supposed to make good men better men. You can talk about utilizing working tools, and we'll dive into that later. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
so go ahead.
That's a heavy question, big dog. Like for real.
You know we had this heavy conversation.
Oh yeah.
We
Oh
always had
yeah.
this heavy conversation.
Oh yeah. All for the smoke. All for the smoke, man, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm amongst my brothers right now, so we chopping it up. Man, that's real. And I think at first it was for me personally, right? Because like again, you can only learn to get better at the tools you're given if you apply them, right? I wasn't really applying all the right tools. I had them, but I didn't know how to properly place. Okay, boom. We know 8 hours for this, 8 hours for this, 8 hours for that, right? But that in that 8 hours, there's certain spots that have to be allotted for your spouse and for your fam.
Yep.
100%. I'm in school, I work, all this stuff. In those 8 hours, something has to be allotted for study time, reading your chapters, completing your modules. Hey, go kiss your wife. Bet. Okay, we about to eat dinner. Bet. Okay, we're gonna watch a movie. Okay, yeah, we're gonna do that. And I just think it's one of those things where it's like it's trial and error. Am I abusing it now? If I'm being transparent, I still haven't mastered the art of the 24-inch gauge, but I'm still working on it. You know what I'm saying? Like masonry, like people think there's probably brothers that think they know everything about masonry. I'm like, that's never gonna happen. There's too much allegory. There's too much.
There's way too much. Yeah.
Way too much, man. But I know there's still areas of me that I have to perfect.
Mhm.
And there's still roughness that I have to chip off in order to make myself smooth, man.
Yeah.
But it just comes with trial and error. I think at one time where I may have been abusing my time was when my wife felt like I was chilling with the brothers more than I was chilling with her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
and you can get caught up in that.
yeah.
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 100%.
And I did. And that's why I was like, well, yeah, I was abusing the time because I wasn't allotting it properly. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, that's how I feel on that.
I think I've heard it time and time again, but the hardest thing to do in masonry is say no.
Yeah.
And just understanding that you have to say no at times. And, I think that comes from being in tune with your life and understanding where your spouse is at and when she needs that time. And the funny thing about masonry, at least from my experience so far, is that these tools that we're talking about, right? These lessons, you would think that most adult men know these things, right? Like how to allocate your time correctly. But I think what I've really gotten from all of it, from masonry in general, is just a few things. The understanding that this life is a lifelong pursuit of improvement, and you're never going to be there, right? Like you're not going to die and be the perfect man. Like you're just not. It's not about that. It's about the pursuit of improvement. That's really what this is about. And I think it's the manner in which these lessons, again, they're not mind blowing, right? If you tell somebody like, hey, you should manage your time well, like, well, yeah, I know that already. But I think it's how it's presented to you.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
presented to you in such a powerful form that it really makes you reflect on your life, or at least it should make you reflect on your life. You know, if I think if the lodge is doing you a justice by presenting those things in the manner in which they should be. But the big one for me was just the awareness of my own mortality, as you know, as morbid as that sounds, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another like kind of no-brainer, right? Like Trey and I know we're gonna die someday. Like we're not gonna live forever. But again,
Yeah.
how that is presented to you is such a powerful reminder. And it's funny how as you're living your day-to-day life, these things just kind of creep in, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just like little reminders. And you know, the other side of the coin is that it's kind of difficult to gain wisdom as a Mason if you are participating, right? So I think good Masons think that like, well, I'm not there, I'm not getting anything out of it. You know, I've really tried to, when I do have to say no, like on the back end, when I do have the time, even if I can't attend lodge, like I try to do that study on my own, you know, and that's the other thing that it kind of encourages. You know, it does encourage study, right? And it doesn't need to be necessarily in the seven liberal arts and sciences. So I think that is allegory for just educating yourself, right? Doesn't necessarily like, do I need to go buy a telescope and like go in the front yard and like become an astronomer? No. But I think that just it's encouraging growth. It's encouraging education. And the Masons who get that really get that. And you know, and the unfortunate thing is I think a lot of guys look at the ritual and they look at the teachings and they're just like, yeah, but I don't think everybody really participates in that, unfortunately. You know, and I don't think they get the most out of Masonry that they really could if they really took it to heart and didn't treat it like a social club. I don't know, that's my own 2 cents.
So
Yeah,
here's just I'm gonna blow
A
this
lot
up,
to unpack
Trey.
there.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow this up, and
Yeah.
and in the words of the Joker, here
Yeah.
we go.
There we go.
So, because this is what this podcast is about. So I'm gonna ask
Yeah.
all you guys in no particular order since Trey started. He can start. What do you guys think? Having had this conversation, do you guys think that the worship masters and brothers in the lodge have an inherent responsibility to teach brothers to conduct themselves as better husbands and better men and better citizens?
Yeah. So do I think they have an inherent responsibility? Yes. Do I think they have an inherent responsibility? No. Right. No. And I say yes and no, right? Because one, you can't teach or you can't coach someone who doesn't want to be coached, right? And we all come to this this lodge or this place, right, at different points in our lives. And it is through our engagement with well-informed brothers and well-educated brothers or well put together brothers that we, you know, there's a light bulb that goes off as like, I like what he's doing. What is he doing? Let me go and engage and talk, you know, with him to see what is he doing differently that's making him successful, because I want to mirror that. And I think that, you know, that's woven into the fabric of masonry as far as like having individuals in positions in leadership positions that are have their stuff together, right? And then in regards to the timepiece, I did have one thing on the time. I think that we have to do better, and I'm not changing the subject, but I wanted to drop this in here, is that we have to do a better job of like integrating our families into these things, into these events. I know every time I do a community service event, my family is available. I bring them to these things, and it's because one, I trust the brothers that are there, right? And I want my kids to be exposed to who I believe are good men, good individual of moral standing, right? And then also the work that we're doing as far as contributing, like there's nothing more fulfilling, in my opinion, than, I come back and my daughter's like, hey, I want to go help this person. Or, she sees someone on the side of the road. Hey, Papa, can we help this person? Can we buy them this, that, and the other? And because she sees them in need. And it's because it's become normalized to help one another, to extend that olive branch and to extend that hand to help someone else in need. And I think we just have to, in regards to time and balancing it, I don't think it has to be a give or a take. I think we have to create that environment that creates that. But yes, do they have inherent responsibility to teach and inform the brothers on these things? Absolutely. But at the same time, you can't teach someone who doesn't want to be taught or coached.
I think they have the inherent responsibility to provide the harmony in the lodge that is necessary for men to grow, right?
Mhm.
Maybe not necessarily teach, right? Because we all, again, Cherry just said it, like we all come from different walks of life. We're all at different points in our life. And, I've learned a whole hell of a lot from brothers who just sit in the South and aren't in positions of any kind of responsibility because they're wise enough to maybe understand that they aren't in the position in their life where they are able to take that on. But I find them to be phenomenal Masons. So I think it's the lodge's responsibility to provide that harmony, to provide that environment for these to happen and for men to grow. But I don't think it's necessarily the worshipful master's job to go coach Trey, like, hey, let me give you some let me give you some tips on how to run your marriage. Like,
Hey,
obviously, like that's probably not going to be well received,
right. Hey,
but
but
he
I
can
will
definitely provide that good harmonious lodge for it to occur.
I will say the worship master does have a responsibility to guard those chairs in the sense of having the right brothers sit in those chairs, right?
Sure.
The entirety of the lodge is responsible for that come elections as well. So, we're nominating these individuals to sit in these positions of leadership. So they need to have it together, right? Bottom line, because you're by nature of that chair or that position, brothers are going to be looking to you for some semblance of guidance, right? Here's Orlando, what Orlando says about it. Yeah.
Percent. The inherent responsibility part, I think it's to the lodge. I wouldn't say it's for any said brother. What I will say, the other side to that 50 cent piece is you can't teach what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
you don't know what you don't know. So regardless of a conglomerate inherent responsibility to make sure that the harmony stays within the lodge and amongst the brothers, and we're teaching good things like decorum, applying the tools that you're given and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, for sure, 100%. But if you don't know, you can't teach. That's like expecting somebody to lead and they've never led before.
Yeah.
And so you
know
just
what I'm
open up another can.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm big on the L word, leadership. You guys all know,
Yeah.
if you talk to me at some point in time, I've said the L word, right? Leadership. And so to the original point, they may not have an inherent responsibility, but it's the worship master's responsibility to set a positive culture in the lodge.
Mhm.
Think about that. So here's from a business perspective, the father of modern business, Peter Drucker, he says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So think about the culture of your organization. If it's positive and harmonious, it's fruitful. If it's negative and resentful, then it's the bipolar opposite. So the worship master may not, in you guys' opinion, have a specific inherent responsibility, but he has a responsibility to set the culture in that lodge. And then the district deputy should reinforce that culture. So again, that's why I said that. And you said something that people are in positions of leadership, but they're not leaders. And that's true. And that's not just in the fraternity, that's in business, various organizations. Just because they're in a position of leadership doesn't make you a leader.
Facts. This is factual.
Yeah, there's that.
I love that.
So hey, bro, Raul, I got a question for you then. So I love saying that because I always say that even in lodge. I got a question. So my question is right. What can we do about that, right? Collectively as a body, like there's like mechanism to force a leader to do, the thing that you think you think they ought to be doing, right? So What would you say to the brothers out there who may be in a lodge where they don't feel as though they are, receiving that leadership, or their worship master is setting conditions or setting that culture to be one of that is harmonious, or is a culture of I guess being coachable, right?
Hmm. So there's two things, in my opinion. You said it already. You answered your own question earlier when you were talking. It's we have to elect the right brothers to be in these seats. Let me say it again. We have to elect the right brothers to be in the seats. We are putting people in seats because it's popular.
Yeah.
Like these are the populist votes, right? We're almost putting. Well, I'm not gonna go there with something.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just putting. Yeah. I was unapologetic, but not stupidity, right?
Yeah.
No, so we're putting brothers in the seats because we like them. It doesn't mean that they're ready and mature enough to be in those seats. The other thing is, because there's two parts. The other thing is there's that thing in the middle of the lodge, the altar with the Bible on it. You as a dues paying member, if you feel, as they say, some type of way, you go to that altar and you express your displeasure. But brothers are afraid, just like you said a couple of weeks ago, of being shunned. They are a dues paying member, which means they have all the rights, lights, and responsibilities. And what's that old thing that we always utter, but we never really live up to? We all meet on the what?
Level.
On the level. Yeah.
Right? And then we part on the square. So it's funny that you part on the square because the square is an emblem of morality, or part of a circle, right? Morality, right? That moral fiber within you that causes you to have integrity. So why are brothers not going to the altar and expression of pleasure? Because they feel scared. So it's up to the brothers that see that are mature enough to take those brothers by the wing and let them what right looks like. That's my two responses to that.
That's fair. That's fair. I'd say that also I guess coming election time, right? Like another dynamic of this is that, when you do have good leaders, right, in those positions, right, it is very, very demanding. If any brother really just sits back and like observes the time and things, or is a part of any of the officers' meetings and sees all the work that goes into making a meeting be successful, or to a degree, like any event to be successful, and we're do a lot of events, it's taxing on that individual, on that leader, right? So even though I guess the analysis is that, the summary is that, like, we can't expect the same people to do the thing. Like, what is the forcing mechanism? And I guess that's what we're exploring and discussing. What is the forcing mechanism to help brothers grow in their leadership acumen, to be able to take on these positions? Because yeah, you're leaving your legacy behind in that lodge for that time that you're running the chairs, in particular, till you go through the East and whatnot. So yeah, I just think we have to be mindful that it's a time commitment. It's a commitment, a very large one, that we're asking, to a degree, some of the same brothers to continuously do, and that's tough. That's tough for the health of a lodge.
Yeah, remember in the last meeting the other night, I asked, Orlando brought it up. Remember Wednesday night, I asked that I said at the end of the last meeting, for the good of the order, that we need to get better at having decorum.
Yes, sir.
Right? Little things like respecting the East, because we talk about the worship master having an inherent responsibility, but who does the worship master represent in the Bible? He represents King Solomon, who's a young king, who had a lot of responsibility, right? And wasn't given permission at first to build the temple. It took a while. So he had to grow and mature into that role. And so when we elect the worship master, we're expecting him to act in that role as King Solomon. And so he automatically inherits a moral and biblical responsibility to lead. I don't give a shit what he feels personally, but that's what he is now inherently responsible for, right? They say this is what you signed up for.
Right. Yeah. That's all right. So that's some heavy stuff right there. That's some heavy stuff. But that's heavy because you had mentioned King Solomon, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand. King Solomon was the king, but the king had counselors too.
Bet.
You know what I'm saying? So he had people helping him run his kingdom because he listened to wise counsel.
Absolutely.
And I don't think there's a lot of brothers that listen to
wise counsel,
wise and sound counsel.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, and that's I think that can be a detriment to yourself as a brother. It can be a detriment to your lodge, because if people look up to you, then that can spread all over the lodge. And so if you're not taking sound counsel and people look up to you, guess what? Now they're not taking sound counsel. Before you know it, now you got a dying lodge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I just thought I would
I,
hit on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys tell me a lot. You this and that with me, and I take it personally. I do. I check myself if I feel like I'm getting too high or too low. And I'll be very honest. A lot of people don't know this, but about a couple of years ago, I actually got relieved as a district deputy, and that was humbling. That was really humbling because it put me in a place where I had to do some soul searching, right? And to be quite honest, I talked to Orlando about this. I almost walked away from masonry.
Yeah.
I almost just said, you know what, it was one of those turning points, right? It's like the Battle of Midway, right? It was a turning point in the war. I just kind of thought about it, and I was like, I already been at this thing 13, 14 years, whatever it was at the time. And I said, you know what, maybe this is not for me. Maybe this is not for me. So I had to kind of check myself. And then Orlando said it earlier, right? We always forget that first lesson in masonry, humility. We
Yeah.
gave up our left shoe not to be humiliated, but to be humbled.
Yeah.
Because left side of man is theoretically the weaker side of man.
Mhm.
So we forget that first lesson. And I always tell brothers get in and they want to go to the 33rd degree. And I'm like, well, you can't get to damn step 33 until you take step 1.
Yeah. It's like, Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Raul, what? Can I go?
Go, please.
Raul, I was just going to ask you. I've heard that story about you almost walking away. I have heard that before, but I haven't heard. What I haven't heard is, what was that force that pulled you back? Like, what was it that helped you make that decision that I'm not, or was it a combination of different things, or was it just taking a break? Because Masonic burnout is a real thing too.
Yeah.
I think we've all probably either been there or felt the pain a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It was a couple things. It was you guys telling me and coming to me and asking me questions and really telling me you looked up to me, that was heavy for me. But it was this 5'3" little person sitting behind me. We talked about it earlier. The wife that told me, "You've put a lot of energy into this. Why walk away now?"
Yeah.
So again, we talked about giving that due reverence to the person that means the most to us. Because I tell my wife all the time, J&R, we all we got.
Yeah.
But it was her and it was you guys, right? Those are the two things that kept me from walking away. Because I almost said, "The hell with it, I'm done." To be fired and to be humiliated is when you feel like you're riding high. I was also working on a doctorate at the time, so there was a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And it broke me. I'm not gonna lie. And I told my wife the other day, it made me kind of low key made me a little bitter.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm slowly, I'm back for the most part now, but it took me a while to get back to normal, I guess. But it was, between the combination of you guys, my wife, that kept me.
Yeah, man, that's real. I remember those conversations. I think a real pivotal point in masonry for me was when my first conclave. I remember distinctly, my pops had just died. I literally just flew back in from burying my pops. I called Raul and I was like, "Yo, is the conclave still going on? If so, I'm gonna try to make it up there." He was like, "Man, you going? Come through. Don't worry about no room. Don't worry about none of that. Just come through. I got you. Don't even worry about it." So the dynamics in our relationships really switched at that time. You know what I'm saying? And that, along with just the mentorship I've gotten from him, just the talks that we've had on the level, you know what I'm saying? Just it really, really shows who puts their OB into practice and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of people, and not to put nobody on blast, I'm just saying in general, there are people that receive things, and like Raul said, they don't take them to heart. It don't mean as much to them.
Yeah.
They're just getting it because they know they can get it and it's given to them. But it's like building a house on sand.
Yeah.
Eventually, if you don't have the proper foundation, what is your house gonna do? if a real storm comes, it's gonna fall. So if you're a brother, but you don't take things to heart, or you don't really put those things into practice to really be your brother's keeper, that's a heavy commitment, bro. I don't think a lot of people understand that. I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
But when
Brotherly
you,
love, man. Brotherly
yeah,
love is a real thing. It's a powerful thing, and it is the glue, in my opinion, that brings us, keeps us together and brings us together because, there's nothing like having some brothers, a brother that you can call at 2, 3 in the morning and say, "Hey, man, like, hey, I need to let something off my chest. Hey, you mind?" And they drive from halfway across the city, to come check you out, right? Or, you got something going on at your house. I recently had something happen at my house here, and freaking, the worst, he showed up and, "Hey, man, I got you. Like, I already know I do this, right?" And I think what we're talking about, like even with Raul's story, one of the things that brought him back is that brotherly love, in the sense of, like, that there's someone there out there who's looking for you, depending on you, and is waiting for you to engage with them, right? So it boils down to brotherly love for me. Like,
It's heavy.
I haven't experienced something like this before.
It's heavy, man. Like I said, it was you guys and my wife that drove me back to think about that equation. The
Yeah,
brothers, certain brothers, you guys, you three in particular, and a few other brothers, and my wife. That's a heavy responsibility. You guys didn't even know you had that responsibility. You guys didn't even know you had
facts.
that influence over me until just now. And that was years ago.
Yeah,
And it's like I was telling Trey on the last episode. I remember my first interaction with your line, Justin, with the ninth hour, and doing that lecture for you guys on Zoom. I think you guys were FCs at the time, if I'm not mistaken. That was a good interaction, and we bonded. Right from
Yep.
that point, we all bonded, and I saw something in you guys. You guys saw whatever you saw in me, and to this day, here we are. Right on this
Yep.
podcast, giving the world unapologetic view, a look, a deep dive into masonry, if you will. But it started with brotherly love.
yeah,
Let me ask this. Do lodges need to do a better job of guarding their west gate? Do you think that the guys that are coming into the lodges aren't well vetted enough or haven't put in enough time? Do we really know who they are?
No.
And how do you think
Yeah.
how would you improve those processes? That's
look,
a tough
man.
question, man.
yeah. That's a
Leo,
that's a loaded question.
Big time. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it like this, bro. I'm gonna say it like this, bro. I will never forget. I had one individual. I think I was the senior deacon at the time, and he would just, "Hey, man, yo, what's up, man? I'm really trying to blah 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 blah. I'm really trying to do this, man. Let me get a petition." I'm like, "Bro, this literally just meeting you, bro. I'm just
Yeah,
meeting you." And no disrespect to the brother, because that's my brother. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
he would show up maybe two, let's just say 2 meetings. Okay, cool. Gone for 6 months. 7th month he shows up. "Yo, man, let me, what I'm saying? What's up with the
yeah,
petition, man? Can I, I got this going on, got that on." I'm like, bro, I had to tell him, like, "Yo, I'm gonna say no at this time because you got other things that take precedence over masonry. Masonry is gonna be here. It's not going anywhere. What you should do is make sure that you and your family are okay first. This comes last every single time." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, like, and we all as brothers know this. So I was like, "Yo, just get your stuff together, and make sure you have what you need so that you won't be a charge to yourself, nor will you be a charge on the brothers that's going to vouch for you to come into the lodge, ultimately at the end of the day, because we're trying to make you better. We're not trying to make you fall backwards." And I feel like if you join right now, you're just going to backtrack. And as a senior deacon, you want brothers to come in. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you don't
Sure.
want brothers to, but it's about quality, not quantity.
There you go.
I don't want to raise a whole bunch of like 20 Masons,
yeah,
only 2 stick around.
yeah.
What is that? A 20% retention?
I,
You know what
I
I'm
was
saying?
just gonna say I don't know what it looks like in your lodge, but in our lodge, I would say that 20% is about right. The longer time goes by, those bows keep falling off, and some of it, sometimes it's just no fault to them.
Right, for
Like
sure,
we
for
got
sure.
guys, you get in the military and deploy, or you move away. Like things happen. natural things of life happen. But I'm always curious. Raul, I love to hear you weigh in on this one with your experience.
As far as what we can do to prevent it,
Yeah.
it's just vetting.
Can we?
Can we? It is preventable. It is preventable. So I've shared with you guys a 2-year Master Mason plan. I think once we get them in, we can shape them that way. But prior to getting them is vetting. We don't do investigations properly. We send one brother to talk to a guy, and he BS's with him, and they may smoke, cigars or whatever they do, and then he comes back with a report to the lodge. But did we really get a firm grasp on who that brother really was? No. I told Trey last week, a week before, if you can't trust a brother in your house, how can you sit in the lodge with him?
Yeah.
And so when you're talking to a brother, you have to be able to, because I read people's energy, you have to be able to trust that brother. Trust is a pivotal part in any relationship. So it starts with the vetting. So that's my take on it. That's literally the foundational piece where it starts. We have to vet properly. We do not vet properly. And it goes back to that popularity. Oh, this brother is a good brother. We go to the VFW and drink all the time, yada, yada, yada. Who gives a shit what you did at the VFW? Can this brother be a better man? Because let's face it, when a Mason does something, it's not that individual that does it. It is all Masons.
Yeah.
Every time.
So again, you carry the weight of that responsibility. So it starts with just vetting the brothers properly.
Yeah, but at the same time, and I'm gonna take the opposite of this argument real quick, right? Because
As you always do.
yeah, because I'm just like I'm
Makes
speaking.
it
I'm gonna speak for some of my brothers out there, right? So I mean, if we are who we say we are, right? Then we should be to a degree understanding of that 10% drop off, or that 20% or 10% retention, 20% retention, whatever you want to call it. Because life does happen, but also too, we got to understand, like, maybe this isn't what they expected it to be, right? And to our conversation we had last time, where I was like, it's not even fun anymore, right? Or they're not even getting, being engaged in it. So on the inside of the lodge and what we're doing on the inside matters more so as we're bringing these guys in, because again, go to the bumper sticker, making good men better. Well, if they already got to the door, right? I mean, we're to a degree saying they're a good dude, but they still have those superfluous edges that need to be smoothed out and whatnot. So if we have to be careful not to, put up too much of a wall and a barrier that prevents growth, right? Or the opportunity for growth. And to this whole discussion we're having, like creating that culture that is amenable to those who are new coming in. Cause I'm going to tell you a story about how I felt when I came in. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. We have to do that too, right? We can't just say it's them and not us. Like, it's both sides of this coin, right?
But you have to accept some risk.
Yeah.
They're good. No one's perfect, right? The Bible tells us that, right? Even in the burial ceremony, right? Perfection on this earth is not yet obtained. Wise as well as best of men have gone astray. There's no one perfect. So we can't go into it with an ironclad saying, nope, you don't meet this, and this.
Right.
Turn around, have a nice day. No, because somebody took a chance on all of us.
Yep.
It's subjective
100%.
too.
It's very subjective. There's no objectivity to it. It's subjective.
Yeah.
It's very subjective on how we select Masons.
Yeah, like when you come to a lodge and you disappear and then you show up, that's not a good track record. I'm just being honest. But even if you are struggling a little bit, but if I see you consistently showing up, if I see you genuinely wanting to meet brothers, I'm not hearing you talk about no damn record deal that you want, or you're looking to become this big star because you think all these connections just going to just happen. Like, no, it doesn't work
all these connections. Yeah.
It doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. What happened to brotherly love? What about that? What about that? What about being able to get some knowledge?
Yeah.
What happened to that? What happened to a genuine interest in what Masonry had to offer, specifically Prince Hall Masonry? Because you just found out that somebody that looked like you happen to be Black, he was in the Mason, and there's a reason why he branched off and created an entire organization based off of what happened back in the 1700s.
Yeah.
What happened to learning about that?
Yeah.
But
So
what's
like
like
what?
why? Yeah, what's your
Yeah,
why?
exactly. So what is your why? Like what is it? You can't it can't be every time. Look, this I do this every single time. When I was senior league and I said, why do you want to be a Mason? And I said, before you answer that, just know that the first answer you tell me is going to be complete BS
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to take you a while to come up with that answer. And I'm not saying your answer is wrong. I'm just saying it's going to be BS because it's not going to be the real answer right now.
Yeah.
But you'll find the real answer the more you show up, the more you come through, because you're going to start seeing either things that you want to improve on yourself or things that you think you can help other brothers improve on. You're going to start noticing things that you can contribute instead of coming to an organization just expecting to take everything. And a lot of brothers do that.
Yeah, that's why we gave that lecture on the letter G, right? That light in the
Yes.
east. So, again, it's all allegory, right? It's all allegorical, right? It all comes back. It's this big circle with a dot in the middle and the two perpendicular lines, right? It all comes back to that. No matter what we do, we can materially err, bing, right back to the center, right?
Yeah.
So,
I wonder how many brothers actually, because my opinion or my assessment is that not all people are built to think about things abstractly, right? Or
Mhm.
objectively. Not all people are able to, we can call it read the Bible and understand the parables in which are being taught, right? And interpret them. So I think, from a philosophy standpoint or being a philosopher, which I believe like that's what most Masons are, they're philosophers because we're constantly reflecting on ourselves, reflecting on life, reflecting on circumstance and happenstance to become better, to understand that situation. But we have to understand that everyone isn't there and everyone is not going to be there. And it takes them some time to at some point, to have that self-realization moment to say, why am I really here? Right. I wanted to come because I thought it was cool. Like I got to hang around with a bunch of people who look like me or a bunch of like-minded people. It seemed cool at the time. And, we do some things in the community, which, like you said, there's always different pockets within the craft that you can find yourself in. And it's about us being able to, one, articulate that, but two, and the question is, and given your academic background, bro, is how do we teach that, right? How do you teach someone to want to or desire to reflect, self-reflect?
Orlando said it. You can't make someone want something.
Yeah.
Like I can't make you want something, but I can teach you to your question or to answer your question. As an educator, I can teach you the processes.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to grasp those processes and then apply them. So my big thing, right, and I've told you guys this, and I've told the district deputy this, deputies, plural, this, that we have to teach brothers how to study the ritual. Because we don't take time to find out, because everybody is on the level, but they learn differently. Some people visual learners, auditory learners, and then there's other ways of learning. So do we ever meet brothers where they're at and teach them how to study the ritual? So again, if you're talking about education, as educators, we can teach you the processes, but it's up to you to grasp those processes.
Yeah.
I can't. It's like It's like a child sitting in a high chair. I can't force feed
Yeah.
knowledge into an individual.
I wonder how many lodges have like just straight up study sessions, right? Not a business meeting, not an intermediate meeting, just a straight up just study session, Have you seen that?
Yeah. I think Fidelity, we had the School of Instruction all the time. Back in the day when I was with Fidelity, we did the Master Mason Academy, which was pretty dope, right? So and we would just get around. It wasn't part of the lodge. I think we do it after the officers meeting. And we'd sit there for about an hour and we'd have a topic and we just go at it. Right? We just
And
go
it's
ham.
started from ground one too. Started from the ground floor and worked all the way up.
Yeah. We just went through all 3 degrees and it was good because it gave brothers that weren't confident, it gave them the opportunity to 1, learn, and then 2, to actually teach back.
Yeah.
And so even answering, expounding on the question you just asked me, give brothers the confidence where they can teach back.
Yeah.
Because one of the things in that 2-year Master Mason plan, it says give a lecture in open lodge. Why do you think I put that in there? Just so brothers can have that confidence to research.
Yeah.
And then teach back, because they're learning as they have to learn as they're researching.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you put,
the rabbit hole's deep.
yeah,
You know,
put,
if you learn something, it's when you can teach it. That's how you know you learn.
Yeah. So
Yep.
we're winding it down, gentlemen. It has been a great, great conversation. I'm gonna go in, some save rounds here, but before I do that, all the brothers on YouTube, we want you to like, subscribe, and share this channel. We want to grow this channel globally, and we're speaking it into existence right now. We're gonna grow this channel globally. Next month, we'll have a couple different discussions. One is esoteric masonry and how it plays into Prince Hall masonry today, and the other one is how the Bible and masonry are interrelated. So these would be some deep discussions. So I'll just kind of go around, and for any last rounds, Justin, what do you have for us before we get out of
No,
here?
I'm excited for the esoteric stuff next month. Very excited for that. I think that it's a topic that doesn't really get discussed enough. We're talking about education in this one a lot. I think that just sparking that interest and letting them know that there is so much more to the ritual. There's so much more to all these esoterics, all the symbolism that's out there. I think that early on we need to impress that on them. So I'm very excited for that one. I had a blast tonight, Orlando, brother. I really appreciate your time tonight. And Raul, Trey, it's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
More to come, right? First of many.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Big O, what you got, big dog? I'm saving the best for last because he can talk.
Easy.
Oh, what you got?
It's all good, man. Well, first and foremost, man, thank you to you brothers for having me on here. It's literally my first interview as an artist and brother. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of my story with you all. Trestleboard Talk, man, that's a dope name. It has a nice ring to it. I'm definitely going to blast the link out, you know what I'm saying, so people can see it. But yeah, man, I look forward to diving in and just really, seeing what you guys have to offer, man. Again, I definitely appreciate each and every one of you brothers for having me on here. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna have you back. We're gonna have you back for sure.
Whenever, man, just let me know.
As soon as that album is dropped, we're gonna have you. We're gonna have you back out here.
You know what? When you can get time in this 24-inch gauge, he might be a co-host.
You want to tell me that, dog? You want to tell me that, big dog?
Yes, sir.
Dude, it's awesome just to have a organic and a real conversation, right? I think we talked about a lot of things and probably expressed some things that other brothers had on their mind but didn't feel comfortable at the time, talking about it. So I've really enjoyed the platform. I really enjoy you brothers, taking the time to, one, have the dialogue and have the conversation, and two, being open, right, to the questions, because there's some deep questions and some very opinionated questions. So really appreciate it. And to everyone out there listening, hey, really appreciate you listening to us. If you want to come on, please, by all means, reach out to us. We're open to talk about anything and everything under the sun. And with that, yeah, thanks, Ro.
Yeah, so if you want to reach out to us, it's trestleboardtalks@gmail.com.
Yes,
Just
sir.
reach out to us, trestleboardtalks@gmail.com. Again, it's been a blast. Appreciate you, brother, man. God bless all you guys. Until next time, man, the Trestleboard Talk is now off and running. Right?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got
Let's
the
get it.
pilot episode. This is the first episode, so now we're off and running, man. So, hey, peace out to everybody, man. God bless.
God bless. Peace.